Hi, I'm Amy Lasik with Kirkwood Corporate Training, and I'm excited today to talk to Claire. Most of you already work with us at Kirkwood Corporate Training and know that we have a wide variety of instructors in lots of different areas, and Claire is one of our newest instructors. So we're going to get to know Claire a little bit in her area of expertise and what she can bring to your company. So Claire, do you want to take a moment just to introduce yourself and your background?
Sure. And thank you so much, Amy. I'm excited to be here and share a little bit of my story. So my name is Claire Vavra, and I am the owner and principal consultant at Creative Spark Studio. I am an entrepreneur and consultant that leads a lot of business initiatives that are related to improving sales, operations, and workforce culture. So I launched Creative Spark Studio, or CSS, back in the fall of 2022. And my mission is to help companies improve sales infrastructure, process, and outcomes. So my approach, my personal approach, is rooted in teaching. I love working alongside all of my clients and educating them on where we're at and where we're going and the why behind that. That's so critical. I work a lot from a collaborative standpoint, and I really believe in bringing a creative mindset and some creative problem solving to some different types of business problems. I work a lot in HubSpot. That's kind of my area of expertise when it comes to a CRM system or content management system of that type. And my most recent full-time job was as a sales engagement manager for a venture-backed startup company called Quick Hire. And that was all about automating recruitment in hospitality, which, as you can imagine, is very difficult. That's a hard industry. But when there's a wonderful solution like what Quick Hire had, it makes it a little easier to start conversations. If you check out my LinkedIn profile, you'll see that I bring a pretty eclectic background to SaaS sales, to B2B sales, marketing, business ops, communications, and even some technical recruitment. And all of those experiences carry with me and carry forward to any client I work with. And all of these strings get pulled from background things I've done in the past that bring kind of that creative and tailored approach to each client I get to work with. I've got a BA and MA in mass communications from the University of Northern Iowa. Go Panthers. 2 young kids. I do pottery on the side, and I love building sales infrastructure.
Perfect. Claire, that was perfect. It gives us a really good insight about the variety that you have in your background and what you could potentially bring to a company. So I appreciate you taking the time to do that. I want to talk about the word sales.
Yeah.
And defining that, because for a lot of us, when we think of like a sales job or selling at work, there's a real picture that many of us put in our mind of what that looks like. And sometimes it's not a positive type view of that. So can you talk about when you think of sales, can you define that and what that might look like in a company? And maybe that doesn't match what many of us think about.
Oh, you are so right. The term sales tends to carry, like you said, a connotation with it, good, bad, or otherwise. And with that said, sales to me is not at all about selling. It's about solving. And what I mean by that is that we can't solve problems in the dark. So we need to understand what our clients' needs are in order to even recommend any type of solution to them. So overall, people hate being sold to, and we know that. It's human nature. So instead, I train my clients and any opportunity I get with salespeople to embrace really a mindset shift from commission-based selling. So when we think of sales, we think of commission and driving that. From commission-based selling to outcome and value-driven solution selling. And really that starts with asking the right questions, leading with empathy, which we sometimes forget about in sales, and uncovering if the need even exists. Are we selling to the right people, what we call an ICP or an ideal customer profile? Are we targeting the right people or companies? So at the end of the day, in sales, every interaction that we have with our clients is either a step in the direction of loyalty with us and our company and our brand, or a step back to our competitor. And so really, when I think of sales and that definition, the question I always encourage my new clients and current clients to ask is, what direction do you want your clients to be in? Because it all starts with your sales team and the infrastructure that's put into place to ensure that that client is stepping towards you, not away from you.
I love that. I love looking at sales more as a solution.
Yes.
And from what you're saying, it's really about building those relationships with people so that they do move forward with you and not backwards.
Well, and I will say it, if there's one word that's synonymous in my mind with sales, it's people. It's people. We're selling, we're solving problems, and it starts with those interactions, the human side of this, the empathy, the relational component that honestly sometimes completely gets overlooked. If we're too data driven, we miss out on those opportunities to build that core relationship.
Such a valid and important part, I think, as people look at this. So when you work with companies or individuals with companies and they want to go to that next level, what is it that you look for with those companies to address kind of those problem areas? Maybe sometimes they don't even know where their problem areas are. How do you get to that? What is it that you look for?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I would say that companies, even large or small, they don't know what they don't know. So I always encourage my clients to ask, are you seeing the results and outcomes that you want? And that's the first step. If the answer is yes, great, don't need me, you're rocking it, awesome. There's other things we could talk about when it comes to training. But if the answer is no, let's pull back the curtain. Let's look under the hood. Let's do what I call an audit of our current state and better understand what's going on. And when we understand and look at the reality of our situation and our sales team and what they know, what they might not know, then someone like myself can come in and make these recommendations and all of these light bulbs go off. It's a beautiful moment that I have with clients because you didn't know to know those things. And that's why, you know, a sales consultant like myself can be so valuable. So when I look at these opportunities, anytime I come into a client, I believe in 3 core philosophies in terms of outcomes for them. And that's how can we enhance our current team? How can we educate our current team? And how can we empower our current team to improve the way they are doing sales day to day? So when it comes to clients, a few of the opportunities that I've seen are things that could really level up your sales team, either on an individual basis or as a collective. Things like objection handling. How do we get to closed? Negotiations, because sales is absolutely a negotiation. Infrastructure, I always use that word, but what does that mean? That's things like sales reporting and making sure our CRM, or HubSpot in this case, you know, is being maximized. Do we have a funnel built? Do we know what our conversions are in that funnel? Do we have discovery documentation? Because we should always be prepping for every single call that we have when it starts with, you know, usually tends to start with the discovery process. Other areas I see are things like wallet expansion. And if you're not familiar with that term, that's increasing the revenue from a current client. In sales, in my world, that tends to be the low-hanging fruit because they already love us. They love what we've, you know, the solutions we've provided for them. Are there other area opportunities to grow? Things like building, retaining, and even empowering that sales team. So if you're new to sales or you're a smaller organization, how do you even build a sales structure? What does data around what you expect that salesperson to do even look like? How do I manage a person in sales? That type of thing. And then, of course, making sure that our HubSpot or the way we're tracking is data driven. So we're able to convert and track different types of leads. So that's at a high level what I tend to see a lot of clients looking to want once they know that maybe those things aren't in place. And that's really that beginning conversation that we might have. As far as what it looks like to work with a sales consultant like myself, that could come in a variety of different ways. It could be one-to-one training and coaching where I ride along, sit alongside those individual salespeople, listen in on calls, sit in on a demo, look at what our discovery process, what questions are we asking, that type of thing, and of course, make recommendations. It could be helping build out a brand new sales process you didn't know you needed until we talked about the value of that process. It could be a large group training on getting to closed, even role play. And I can't stress that enough, honestly, Amy, because we can learn all day. I do. I love reading. I learn and take screenshots of great content online all the time. I'm always learning, but without practice, it just sits in our brain. So I always encourage clients, and if that's an area I can help in, to figure out a way to incorporate role play, objection handling, navigating, that type of stuff in your training curriculum. So there's a lot of different topics, and the way that partnership kind of rolls out is really dependent upon what that client needs.
That's great. And I know role playing sometimes can be uncomfortable, but it really is one of the best ways to implement what you're learning, because otherwise it's just on paper. So getting that practice.
You aren't kidding. My thought process around that is absolutely, it's horrifying. I still get nervous. We all do. But the reality is I would rather role play with a colleague or another sales professional or my boss than a customer. Because if it's a customer, guess what direction they're stepping? They're probably stepping back because I didn't fulfill that interaction as best as I could have. So I would rather practice on my colleagues.
Very, very valid point. A much more safe environment to be able to do that. I also really appreciated your comment about enhance, educate, empower, and also your comment about the light bulb moments, as I'm sure you see throughout that entire journey through all of those E's. Do you have any, as you've worked with clients in the past, do you have any stories or things that you've seen from companies as they have those light bulb moments as you've done the work with them?
Oh, yes. Actually, one that comes to mind was most recent that was just such a beautiful moment that I was with the team when the light bulbs went off. So I mentioned my style and the way I approach any type of consulting work is through training, teaching and education. And so in this particular interaction, we were talking about HubSpot, our CRM, and how we're tracking where leads are coming from. And so this is also something to be keeping in mind if you have your own CRM. So I asked the question like, okay, well, we're kind of tracking where leads are coming from, but how do we know what routes, whether it's a conference or an event or a community organization that I attended, how do we know which is working? And how do we know then where to spend our money? Do we go back to that conference? Was there an ROI, a return on investment, in spending the $5,000 to fly and attend and come back? And if we're not tracking those things, we don't know. We are spending money without having it be data-driven. And so that light bulb moment was, not only do we need to track those in our HubSpot CRM, which is called lead source, so you can add what's called a lead source in, but be micro in how you do it. So what specifically was that conference? What specifically was that community organization event you attended? Because if we can track it back and we could say we got a new client from that exact thing, you better believe I'm going to be spending more marketing dollars there. And how do we improve what we aren't tracking? We can't. So it was just this beautiful light bulb moment where we started listing all the lead sources and then getting them into our HubSpot and then tagging any leads that came from them so that we can run reports on what is successful and what is not successful.
What a wonderful light bulb moment, and a great opportunity for them to move things forward and really get some understanding of the ROI of what they're investing in. That's great. So if I'm a company listening to this right now, and I'm like, well, I'm not sure sales is the problem. I know something's wrong within my company, but I can't quite pinpoint it. What are some indications that maybe it's sales that they need to look at? What are some things that you see when you go into a company that a company might want to consider looking at this particular area?
Yeah, actually, two things really come to mind. So the first is, are we seeing the results? And for most business owners, for most leadership roles, that's revenue-based or bottom line based. Are we seeing the results that we've put forth for the sales team? So that could be in the form of KPIs or revenue goals. We also hear the phrase quota attainment. Are we seeing the outcomes? Is our business growing? Are we scaling? Are we keeping clients, for goodness sakes? Are they staying or are they leaving? Those types of things. And then, so that would be the first question, like, do we have the results that we want? And then the kind of wild card second question that not a lot of sales leaders ask themselves, and it might be a good time to bring a sales consultant in, is, are our salespeople staying? Or are we having significant attrition? And the reason that matters goes all the way back to my philosophy: educate and empower. And if we don't have the sales infrastructure in place, meaning, do we even have a CRM to track this? Are we helping our salespeople, make an outbound call? Are we helping them are we showing them and training them on how to execute a rock star demo and what you do post demo? Are we doing those things to help support and level up our salespeople? Or are we just letting them, like often happens, run to the wolves, just throw them out there and you'll just figure it out? So if attrition's a problem in your sales department and you're losing people, I think it's time to look at sales. And if you're not seeing the attainment you're looking for in the revenue goals, it's time to look at sales. I think couple super quick questions I would ask myself if I were a sales leader or anyone in the C-suite leadership. I would ask, the two questions I mentioned. I would also ask myself, are we tracking? So are we data driven? Are we looking at conversion rates? So what is my rate from starting that lead through the funnel to close or lose or lost? What are my conversion rates? And then finally, are we ready to empower our salespeople to achieve great things? If you're ready for change and you're ready at least to bring someone in like myself that can softly push against the status quo and offer recommendations, but not just offer and talk about them, help you implement them, then maybe it's time to look at sales.
Great. Claire, I want to thank you for your time this morning and being able to share some insights on sales and how that might best help some of our companies. If you're a company watching this right now and you have interest in talking to Claire further, or you want to potentially look at sales training or consulting as part of the work that you want to take your company to the next level, I would encourage you to give us a call at Kirkwood Corporate Training. You can reach us at 319-398-5623, or you can send us an email at corporatetraining@kirkwood.edu. Thank you, Claire. We look forward to working with you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.